Archer 3015 Delta, Anoka Tower, runway 27, clear for takeoff, left turn.
Hello, Flywell. This is Zach here with JJ sitting right seat. We're going to be flying with you guys today, talking a little bit about runway incursion avoidance. On this flight, we're going to go from Anoka to Flying Cloud, which is one of the airports that has the most runway incursions per year in Minnesota. They got the parallel runways down there. So we're going to be talking about general strategies on how to avoid runway incursions and just how to be safe on the ground and how to feel confident with everything. So we're sitting here at Anoka, got the engine started. We are ready for taxi. We're going to be talking about these strategies that'll help you stay on the right track. So one of the important parts is to do a taxi brief. Where are we going? What are we doing? So I have Quebec. I know that we're using runway 27. So taking a look at my airport diagram here, I'm going to brief where I'm going and what I'm doing. It's going to be important, especially at places that we've never been before. So since we're using 27, I know that we're going to have to use Bravo at some point. I know we're going to have to cross runway 36. And then I'm going to have to take Charlie. So it's going to be Charlie, Bravo, cross 36 to 27. So I write it down every single time. I've done this hundreds of times, but I tell my students the same thing. Even if you've been somewhere 1,000 times, still write down where you're going. So we're going to be using Charlie, Bravo, cross 36 to runway 27. We're going to Flying Clouds. So we're going to take a departure to the south and try to talk to Minneapolis Approach on our way down there and try to get vectors over the top.
Departure is not available
so,
on 26.5.
We have our instructions written down. And we are going to give her a call here real quick. Anoka ground, November 3015 Delta, Minnesota West, departure to the south with Quebec.
Archer 3015 Delta, Anoka ground, runway 27, taxi Charlie, Bravo, cross 36.
Charlie, Bravo, cross 36 to runway 27, November 3015 Delta. All right, we got our clearance. So looking left, looking right, passing the whole short point. Doesn't look like anyone's around in the corner, and we're on our way.
Check air maintenance, ground via Bravo 1, Bravo, Charlie 1, hold short 27.
Zach, you kind of guessed at what the taxi was going to be, but you could have gotten something else.
You totally could have gotten something else, and that's why it's important to have that airport diagram handy, because if you do get something else, not only do you have to repeat it back, but you have to understand what that means. Yep. So always have my diagram handy on my lap in case we are given something else, which is, more common than not, especially at busier airports when they're routing people around you and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll be doing the same thing at Flying Cloud here. So when you're taxiing, obviously this is the time to be looking outside. So, I have my power at borderline idle, I have my wind correction, but I'm looking straight ahead of me, keeping myself on the center line of this run or on this taxiway, reading the signage, making sure people aren't flying through the corners and stuff, and also paying attention to any hold short points I see, and feeling comfortable to clarify that with air traffic control. Strategy or a resource for taxiing is progressive taxi, which is something that you may have never gotten before, but it is where you ask you just ask ground for progressive taxi to wherever you're going, and they just tell you individual turns. So continue straight on Charlie, make a right on Alpha, and then you do that, and then after that they say, okay, continue on Alpha, make a left on Alpha 1. So probably not something you'll need here because you've been to Anoka a bunch, but you might want it at some of these busier airports, even like Duluth International, or any of these Charlies around here that are going to be a lot busier than Anoka. Progressive taxi is a good resource for that.
I used progressive taxi when I went to Louisville. It was a Charlie, and it was super busy, and I landed and got a huge string of taxi instructions and realized there was no way, and asked for progressive, which they did kindly. But when I was thinking about it, I was kind of like, oh, I feel bad that I have to ask for progressive, but they don't want me lost as much as I don't want to be lost.
Very true. They also don't want you to hit anyone that you thought you weren't going to hit. Another thing while we do this taxi to kind of talk about is proper phraseology with air traffic control, right? So my initial call to Anoka ground was very simple. It always uses the same formula. I call it who times 2, what and where. Who you're talking to, who you are, where you are, and what you want to do. Nothing in between. So, Anoka ground, November 3015 Delta, at Minnesota West, southbound with Quebec. That is literally all we need. That just clarifies or shortens the amount of communication that's required from air traffic control to pilots, keeps the radios free, and as many instructors have told me in the past, it's the push to talk button, not the push to think. So you want to make sure that you've thought about what you're saying before you push that button and then start saying it, especially in a busy place like a Charlie or something. Those frequencies are used a lot more often than the ones down here, so you got to be quick. So making a right on a Bravo, look at my signs, clear left, clear right, turning right.
Cessna 453, runway 27, clear to land.
Zach, what you were telling me you've seen some near runway incursions out here at Anoka the past few weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, so, you know, a lot of us, you know, we've been flying around Anoka a lot. We don't think it could, you know, happen here or happen to us because it's such a, you know, a pretty straightforward airport. But last week I just saw 2 incursions in a row in the span of a couple minutes. Usually when we're using runway 18, Alpha 5 is a taxiway at the very end of the runway there. And most controllers don't say it, which is beyond standards. They should be saying Alpha 5 because that's the taxiway we're on. But we all know that people are a little bit more lax around here. But for whatever reason, the controller did say Alpha 5. They were giving instructions to go to runway 18. So they said Charlie 1, cross 27, Alpha 5 to runway 18. And just for a second, for runway crossing, right? You see our runway 1836 sign and the hold short point. We've been cleared across. I'm going to turn on all of my lights. Clearing left and clearing right. No one's coming, so we're crossing the runway here. Always confirming that you've been given clearance to cross. Confirming that you're passing a hold short point. And the AIM recommends turning on all your lights during runway crossings for better visibility. Now we are past the runway. I'll turn off, open the landing. So anyway, the controller was saying Charlie 1, cross 27, Alpha 5 to runway 18. And 2 airplanes in a row interpreted that to mean Charlie 1, get on 27 and go to Alpha, which is the parallel taxiway next to Charlie 1 that could also take you to 18. Because it's not uncommon for them to tell us to zigzag like that, to kind of cut across the runway because they try to keep Atlantic clear, usually for like the jets and stuff. But 2 pilots in a row thought that she told them to go onto the runway 27 and then to make a left on Alpha. So they both did that. And then she got mad at them because it said Alpha 5. They didn't hear the 5 part. So just always, you know, confirming if you're confused like that. But also, you never really want to make an assumption like that either. Turning right onto a runway is pretty dangerous. That's exactly what the FAA is trying to get us to not do. So, all right, we're going to go south, 2,500. Takeoff brief. If the engine fails on the runway, we'll stop the remaining runway. If it fails between 0 and 300 feet, we will land straight ahead. If it fails between 3 and 600 feet, we can turn up to 45 degrees. So I know we got that golf course off to the right, and then Highway 60 going north. And then 6 to 900 feet, best judgment to turn around, and then 9 and above, we can turn around and head back to the pattern. We're going to make a southbound departure, so left turn. I'm going to put my frequencies up here, so we're going to be calling approach on 126.5 when we're up there. I'll switch to COM 1, make sure the volume's up. I'm not squawking anything right now, but we got our altitude bugged, and we should be good. Questions, comments, concerns?
I'm good to go.
Awesome. All right. All right, fly well. We're pulling up to the whole short line here. Runway 27 is the one that we're using. So we're going to be using appropriate terminology to say that we are ready for takeoff. So we're going to say, Anoka Tower, 3015 Deltas, holding short of runway 27, ready for departure. A wise instructor of mine once told me that takeoff is air traffic control's word. We don't get to use it. We say ready for departure. A clears for takeoff. Another one of the fun phraseology things that the FAA keeps separate so that we don't confuse the two. Fun fact, the worst aviation disaster in the history of mankind was runway incursion. It was 2 747s in Tenerife, France that ran into each other because they took off on one, either ends of the runway because they heard the clear for takeoff. Anyway, we're going to keep it nice, short and simple and sweet. And we're going to use our full call sign each time. And we're not going to say ready to go. We're going to say ready for departure. Anoka Tower, 3015 Delta is holding short at runway 27 and ready for departure southbound.
Archer 3015 Delta, Anoka Tower, runway 27, cleared for takeoff, left turn.
Runway 27, cleared for takeoff, left turn, 3015 Delta. Each part of that clearance was read back. So we are good to go. I got the runway in sight, so we already know kind of what's going on here, but with Flying Cloud, we're going to be using our full call sign, repeating the entire instruction back, and then once we're clear of the runway, we're going to write down our instructions from ground, making sure we're watching all those hold short points.
3204, 28 left, we'll join pattern now.
We'll make a right on Alpha 2 and listen very closely.
Archer 15 Delta, turn right on Alpha 2, contact ground point 7.
Right on Alpha 2, contact ground point 7, 3015 Delta. All right, here we are. So getting past the hold short point, coming to a complete stop. We'll We'll switch to ground, and we're going to take our time. My flaps are going to go down, and lean my mixture, carpet off, fuel pump off, lights off, and then we're going to look at our taxiway diagram and know that we're going to be making a right to get to 28 right. So we're going to be expecting a right on Alpha, but look, we got a hot spot right here because Alpha actually intersects with runway 18. So we're going to make a right on Alpha, crossing runway 18, Alpha 1 to 28 right. So I'm going to write that down. Alpha, cross 18, Alpha 1 to 28 right, and we want a departure to the west. So for Flying Cloud ground, same thing. Who times 2, where we are, and what we want, that's all. Flying Cloud ground, 3015 Delta on Alpha 2. Taxi back to 28 right for westbound departure.
3015 Delta, flying clear ground, runway 28 right, taxi via Alpha, cross runway 36.
Taxi via Alpha, crossing runway 36 to 28 right, 3015 Delta. All right.
Alpha Delta, squawk VFR.
And squawking VFR, 3015 Delta. So we read back each part of that clearance, including the runway that we're going to and the runway crossing. So here we go, making our right on Alpha. No one's coming from the left. A little bit of crosswind correction in there. And we will taxi. So keeping my taxi speed nice and slow and using my eyeballs right now. We're taxiing, so no longer looking inside and punching buttons and frequencies and stuff. That was what the full stop after the runway was for. We're looking outside, making sure that no one's blowing through the corner on Echo over here. We can see the enhanced taxiway center line, those dashes on either side, warning me I'm about to cross a runway. I can see the 1836 sign warning me about to cross a runway, the flashing lights warning me about to cross a runway, the name on the ground, and the whole short point. So no one's coming on 18 or 36. I'll turn on all of my lights as a precaution. We've been cleared to cross, crossing runway 18 on Alpha. Looking good. And then once we finish crossing the runway, once we're past that whole short point, turn those lights off and continue our merry way. There you go, crossing that whole short point. The rest of those lights will come off except for that beacon and taxi. And we will continue on to runway 28 right. Referencing the diagram if you need to, making sure you know what turn is where. So we're going all the way down to Alpha 1 and holding short runway 28 right. All right, here is 28 right. Another enhanced center line telling me I'm about to cross a runway here. I'm not going to cross it because I have not been cleared to take off or cross. I'm just going to hold short runway 28 right. I want to give myself plenty of room between me and the hold short point so I can still see it. And so in case my brakes give out, I at least have a little bit of time to react. So prepping for takeoff, we'll go mixture rich, fuel pump on, all the lights will go on. We'll switch back to COM 1 with tower, and then just do a little flow. Flaps are down,
93 Echo, you are number 2,
trim
following the
is down,
right, clear
mixture's rich, lights are on, carpet off, and we'll bug some stuff. So we're going to be making a departure to the west. Bravo starts at 4,000 feet, so we're only going to want to go up to 3,500. I still have my wind bugged, and I will give them a call. Flying Cloud Tower, 3015 Delta is holding short runway 28 right, ready for departure westbound.
November 3015 Delta, Flying Cloud Tower, runway 28 right, clear for takeoff, proceed on course westbound.
Runway 28 right to clear for takeoff westbound, 3015 Delta. All right, clear for takeoff. No one is coming from the left. We're crossing our runway.
Citation 6 Romeo Delta, where are you parking?
We're parking Premier 6 Romeo Delta.
Or 6 Romeo Delta, turn right on Golf, hold short, runway 28 right, remain this frequency.
Here is 28 right, confirmed on the ground. That guy was told to turn right and hold short. I can see him down there. And here we go again. Smooth application of full power, right rudder.
In front of a Pilatus, or correction, a TBM that's southeast of the field, runway 28 left, clear to land.
We'll keep our
Gauges are in the green, airspeed is alive, 55 knots, rotate.
They're still about 10 to the southeast.